Shabbat Shalom, Happy Sukkot, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard YouTube live stream. My name is Adam, your host, and I welcome you. And it is, at least on the calendar I celebrate, it is the 8th day of Sukkot, the last great day. So Shabbat Shalom to you all, and welcome. Tonight we're going to do kind of just a laid back. We're gonna read the Book of Tobit tonight, and I'm gonna have some commentary. It's gonna be mostly a read through, but there's some excellent points to this book that I'm just gonna have to stop a few times and make some connections to other scriptures, kind of expound a little bit. But this is a really short story. That was included in almost every single major canon out there, most notably the 1611 KJV under the Apocrypha section, the Septuagint, and many others. But like a lot of the other books, was removed in the 1800s by the dispensational movement. But this short story is packed with a lot of great information for these last days, those of us that have been reconciled back to the Father by belief in His only begotten Son, Messiah Yahusha, and also have lifted the veil, per se, off our eyes that His commandments, His Torah, still stands, is righteous, is more desirable than gold, and sweeter than honey. And in keeping of it, there is great reward. And so, what you'll find in this short story is a lot of great insight in how to conduct ourselves, how to carry ourselves, even in dispersion, where we find ourselves. This book is very much like the book of Daniel, where the main characters are in dispersion, and yet they still keep the commandments. At all, when it's possible, like we're doing as well. So, in any case, what else did I want to talk about? It's a short story, family that has some trials set before them, an adventure, and actually, really unexpectedly, an amazing at the very last chapter, or second to last chapter, an amazing prophecy about New Jerusalem and the end times. So it's actually quite the blessing, and I thought this would be a great time to read it for Sukkot, because really, Sukkot is two things. It's about looking back at the time the Israelites came out of Egypt and dwelt in the temporary shelters, which is why we dwell in them for a week, but also looking forward to the time that if we be found worthy, are able to enter into the promised land and enter into the tent, the pavilion, the large tabernacle, sukkah of the Most High, New Jerusalem. And that's what we get a nice little vision of at the end here. So I'm going to keep it short tonight. I promised the family, you guys are family too, but I promised the immediate family that we would party tonight. So we're not doing the Torah portion this week. We'll start it next week. But anyways, we're going to do kind of a read through with a little bit of discussion and some connecting verses. But probably a short night, probably about an hour or so. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with a prayer and ask the Most High to bless this, and we're going to read the Book of Tobit, which I find absolutely fascinating. We're going to have to do this book again so we can dig down even deeper because, like I said, I'm going to keep tonight a little short. So let's bow our hearts. Heavenly Father, Yahuah Most High, the Elohim of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, we just come before you, and Happy Sukkot. Thank you for giving us these amazing feast days, which completely overshadow the world's feast days that we used to celebrate. Thank you so much for bringing us out of Egypt, for bringing us out of Babylon and her ways, and showing us your amazing ways, which are 100-fold better. What an amazing week this has been, and we look forward to finishing up this last great day, and we bless you. Thank you for all that you do for us. You are amazing. You are the one that are waking us up. You are the one that is pouring out wisdom. You are the one that are giving of your spirit, your ruach, and we're just so thankful for you for, quite frankly, saving us from the lives we used to live, and showing us the right way to live, which is doing what's right in your eyes. And of course, first and foremost, we thank you for sending your Son, that we may have life and that we may be redeemed to you, the spotless Lamb. We love you, we bless you, and again, happy Sukkot to you. Amen and amen. Happy Sukkot to you, brethren. What an amazing week this has been. It's been a great week. This whole fall feast season has been absolutely amazing. So just so thankful. A lot of you know that I'm very fond of the CEPHER version, but couldn't get that up ready in time for the reading tonight. So it is included in the CEPHER. So if you want to check out the Dr. Pigeon's version, I recommend it. We will, however, be reading from the RSV version, which is great as well. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's see what this amazing book has to offer for us. All right. So again, great book. This is about a man in dispersion and his family. So let's see what happens here. The Book of Tobit, also known as ToviYahu. Tov meaning good, so his name means Yah is good. Anyways, all right. So the book of the Acts of Tobit, the son of Tobiel, the son of Ananiel, the son of Aduel, the son of Gabael, the descendants of Asiel of the tribe of Naphtali, who in the days of Shalmaneser, king of the Assyrians, was taken into captivity from Thisbe, which, I don't know if I pronounced that right, which is to the south of Kadesh, Naphtali, and Galilee above Asher. I, Tobit, walked in the ways of truth and righteousness. And as you all know, this is pretty much code word for Torah, because Psalm 119, 142, thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy Torah is the truth. So this is code word for I walked in the ways of the Torah all the days of my life, and I performed many acts of charity to my brethren and countrymen who went with me into the land of the Assyrians to Nineveh. Now, when I was in my own country, in the land of Israel, while I was still a young man, the whole tribe of Naphtali, my forefather, deserted the house of Jerusalem. This was the place which had been chosen from among all the tribes of Israel, where all the tribes should sacrifice, and where the temple of the dwelling of the Most High was consecrated and established for all generations forever. All the tribes that joined in apostasy used to sacrifice to the calf Baal, and so did the house of Naphtali, my forefathers. But I alone went to Jerusalem for the feasts, as it is ordained for all Israel by an everlasting decree. Right, so he's in dispersion. He's like, everlasting. Taking the first fruits and the tithes of my produce and the first shearings, I would give these to the priests, the sons of Aaron, at the altar. Of all my produce, I would give a tenth to the sons of Levi who ministered at Jerusalem. A second tenth I would sell, and would go and spend the proceeds each year at Jerusalem. The third tenth I would give to those whom it was my duty, as Deborah, my father's mother, had commanded me, for I was left an orphan by my father. When I became a man, I married Anna, a member of our family, and by her I became father of Tobias. Now, when I was carried away captive to Nineveh, all my brethren and my relatives ate the food of the Gentiles, but I kept myself from eating it, because I remembered Elohim with all my heart. Then the Most High gave me favor and good appearance in the sight of Shalmaneser, and I was his buyer of provisions. So I used to go into Media, which is like Persia, right? The Media and the Medes and the Persians, and and once at Rages in Media, I left 10 talents of silver in trust with Gabael, the brother of Gabrias. But when Shalmaneser died, Sennacherib his son reigned in his place, and under him the highways were unsafe, so that I could no longer go into Media. In the days of Shalmaneser, I performed many acts of charity to my brethren. I would give my bread to the hungry, and my clothing to the naked. And if I saw any one of my people dead and thrown out behind the wall of Nineveh, I would bury him. And if Sennacherib the king put to death any who came fleeing from Judea, I buried them secretly. For in his anger he put many to death. When the bodies were sought by the king, they were not found. Then one of the men of Nineveh went and informed the king about me, that I was burying them, so I hid myself. When I learned that I was being searched for, to be put to death, I left home in fear. Then all my property was confiscated, and nothing was left to me except my wife Anna and my son Tobias. Now, as far as him being very diligent about burying the dead, there's an amazing passage in 2 Ezra that kind of covers this, just 4 verses. 2 Ezra 2:20 through 23, another book of the Apocrypha that was taken out in the 1800s. It says, guard the rights of the widow, secure justice for the fatherless, give to the needy, defend the orphan, clothe the naked, care for the injured and the weak. Do not ridicule a lame man, protect the maimed, let the blind man have a vision of my splendor, protect the old and the young within your walls, and when you find any who are dead, commit them to the grave and mark it, and I will give you the first place in my resurrection. So, amazing stuff. So we have Tobias here, who is diligent about finding the dead and burying them. So But not 50 days passed before two of Sennacherib's sons killed him, and they fled to the mountains of Ararat. Then Esarhaddon, his son, reigned in his place, and he appointed Ahikar, the son of my brother Anael, over all the accounts of his kingdom and over the entire administration. Ahikar interceded for me, and I returned to Nineveh. Now Ahikar was a cupbearer, keeper of the signet, and in charge of administration of the accounts, for Esarhaddon had appointed him second to himself. He was my nephew. Chapter 2. When I arrived home, my wife Anna and my son Tobias were restored to me. At the feast of Pentecost, right? So he's in dispersion, still keeping the feast, which is the sacred festival of the 7 weeks. A good dinner was prepared for me, and I sat down to eat. Upon seeing the abundance of food, I said to my son, "Go and bring whatever poor man of our brethren you might find who is mindful of Yahuah, and I will wait for you." Right? So he's got the mentality of Abraham, of Avraham, of, bringing in people into his house and feeding them. But he came back and said, "Father, one of our people has been strangled and thrown into the marketplace." So before I tasted anything, I sprang up and removed the body to a place of shelter until sunset. And when I returned, I washed myself and ate my food in sorrow. Then I remembered the prophecy of Amos, how he said, "Your feasts shall be turned into mourning, and all your festivals into lamentation," and I wept. When the sun had set, I went and dug a grave and buried the body. So here's an interesting little tidbit. I know we talk about, are the Sabbaths sunset to sunset or sunrise to sunrise? Well, see, here we have Tobias, who waited for the Feast of Pentecost to be over and waited for sunset because, he's not supposed to really work during a Shabbat. So he waited till the sun had set, and then he went and dug the grave, right? So he went and put the body and put it into a safe place, and then he ate his Pentecost meal, waited for sunset, and then went to go bury the body. And my neighbors laughed at me and said, "He is no longer afraid that he will be put to death for doing this. He once ran away, and here he is burying the dead again." On the same night I returned from burying him, and because I was defiled, right, he was unclean, until the next day, I slept by the wall of the courtyard, and my face was uncovered. I did not know that there were sparrows on the wall, and their fresh droppings, their number 2, fell into my eyes, and white films formed on my eyes. I went to the physicians, but they did not help me. Ahikar, however, took care of me until he went into Elimias. So I've read different versions of this. There's 2 different main manuscripts. This is like kind of the main manuscript. This has the most information, but the other manuscript said specifically that Yahuah allowed this so that he could be tested, so that this could be a witness to future generations. It's very much like Job. Like Job was super righteous, right? But Yah was like, I'm going to let this testing happen, and look at what an amazing story that we have for all generations to read about the patience of Job. And so here we are. We have a completely righteous man keeping all the statutes, and yet a testing of this happens. And it doesn't really specifically say it, but he went blind. It said this film forms around his eyes. He actually went blind because the bird poo went in his eyes, and he's got this film, and he can't see anymore. But it said in the other text that Yahuah allowed this for it to be a witness to future generations of his steadfastness. Then my wife Anna earned money at women's work. She used to send the products to the owners. Once they paid her wages, they also gave her a kid of a goat, not like a child, but a kid of the goats. And when she returned to me, it began to bleat. So I said to her, "Where did you get the kid? Is it not stolen? Is it? Return it to the owners, for it is not right to eat what is stolen." And she said, "It was given to me as a gift in addition to my wages." But I did not believe her, and told her to return it to the owners, and I blushed for her. Then she replied to me, where are your charities and your righteous deeds? You seem to know everything." And in the other version it said, "Don't you realize that you have been so giving, and now it's being done back to you?" Chapter 3. Then in my grief I wept and prayed in anguish, saying, Righteous are you, Yahuah. All thy deeds and all thy ways are mercy and truth, and thou dost render true and righteous judgments forever. Remember me and look favorably upon me, and do not punish me for my sins and for my unwitting offenses and those which my fathers committed before thee. For they disobeyed thy commandments, and thou gavest us over to plunder, captivity, and death. And thou madest us a byword of a reproach in all the nations among which we have been dispersed. And now thy many judgments are true and exacting penalty for me, for my sins and those of my fathers, because we did not keep thy commandments, for we did not walk in truth before you. And now deal with me according to thy pleasure. Command my spirit to be taken up, that I may depart and become dust. For it is better for me to die than to live, because I have heard false reproaches, and great is the sorrow within me. Command that I now be released from my distresses, to go to the eternal abode, and do not turn thy face away from me. At the same day, at Ecbatana in Media, it also happened that Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, was reproached by her father's maids, because she had been given to 7 husbands, and the evil demon Asmodeus had slain each of them before he had been with her as his wife. So the maid said to her, Do you not know that you strangle your husbands? You already have had 7, and have no benefit from any of them. Why do you beat us? If they are dead, go with them. May we never see a son or daughter of yours. So she kept getting married to different men, and when it was the wedding night and they were supposed to get together, this demon killed the man. So she still had never been with any man yet. When she heard these things, she was deeply grieved, right, because the maids were making fun of her. She was deeply grieved, even to the thought of hanging herself. But she said, I am the only child of my father. If I do this, it will be a disgrace to him, and I shall bring his old age down in sorrow to the grave. So she prayed by her window and said, Blessed are you, O Yahuah, my Elohim, and blessed is thy holy and honored name forever. May all thy works praise thee forever. And now, O Yahuah, I have turned my eyes and my face towards you. Command that I be released from the earth, and that I hear reproach no more. You knowest, O Yahuah, that I am innocent of any sin with man, and that I did not stain my name or the name of my father in the land of my captivity. I am my father's only child, and he has no child to be his heir, no near kinsman or kinsman's son for whom I should keep myself as wife. Already 7 husbands of mine are dead. Why should I live? But if it be not pleasing to thee, take my life. Command that respect be shown to me, and pity be taken upon me, and that I hear reproach no more. So you've got Tobias who wanted to die, and you've got Sarah who wanted to die because of their utter reproach. The prayer of both was heard in the presence of the glory of the great Elohim, and Raphael was sent to heal the 2 of them, to scale away the white films from Tobit's eyes, and to give Sarah the daughter, I said Tobias, it's Tobit, sorry, and to give Sarah the daughter of Raguel in marriage to Tobias, the son of Tobit, right? So Tobit is the dad, Tobias is the son. So to give Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, in marriage to Tobias, the son of Tobit, and to bind Asmodeus, the evil demon, because Tobias was entitled to possess her. At that very moment, Tobit returned and entered his house, and Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, came down from her upper room. All right. Chapter 4. On that day, Tobit remembered the money which he had left in trust with Gabael at Ragus in Media, and said to himself, I have asked for death. Why do I not call my son Tobias, so that I may explain to him about the money before I die? So he called him and said, My son, when I die, bury me, and do not neglect your mother. Honor her all the days of your life. Do what is pleasing to her, and do not grieve her. Remember, my son, that she faced many dangers for you while you were yet unborn. When she dies, bury her beside me in the same grave. Remember Yahuah our Eloheinu all your days, my son, and refuse to sin or to transgress his commandments. Live uprightly all the days of your life, and do not walk in the ways of wrongdoing. For if you do what is true, your ways will prosper through your deeds. Give alms from your possessions to all who live uprightly, and do not let your eye begrudge the gift when you make it. Do not turn your face away from any poor man, and the face of Elohim will be not turned away from you. If you have many possessions, make your gift from them in proportion. If few, do not be afraid to give according to the little that you have, so that you will be laying up a good treasure for yourself against the day of necessity. For charity delivers from death and keeps you from entering the darkness. And for all who practice it, charity is an excellent offering in the presence of the Most High. Now, this may seem like, I've heard some people try to debunk this book because they're like, they're saying that alms, atones for sins, and alms does this and that, and it's only, the blood of Messiah that does that. Listen, really quickly, let's go through a couple of passages. This is the book of Sirach, also known as Ecclesiasticus, which was also in the 1611 KJV, Septuagint, and many others. This is part of the Apocrypha. Chapter 3, verses 30 through 31. Water extinguishes a blazing fire, so almsgiving atones for sins. Whoever requites favor gives the thought to the future. At the moment of his failing, he will find support. Sirach 7:10. Do not be faint-hearted in your prayer, nor neglect to give alms. Psalm 37:21. The wicked borrows and cannot pay back, but the righteous is generous and gives. Psalm 37:25 through 26. I have been young and now am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken, or his children begging bread. He is ever giving liberally and lending, and his children become a blessing. Psalm 112:9. He has distributed freely. He has given to the poor. His righteousness endures forever. His horn is exalted in honor. Now, Messiah. This is what Messiah said specifically, Matthew 6:1 through 4. Beware of practicing your piety before men in order to be seen by them, for then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Thus, when you give alms, not if you give alms, when you give alms, sound no trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may be praised by men. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you give alms, not if you give alms, when you give alms, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your alms may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Not me might reward you, he will reward you, right? Beware, my son, of all immorality. First of all, take a wife from among the descendants of your fathers, and do not marry a foreign woman who is not of your father's tribe, for we are the sons of the prophets. Remember, my son, that Noah, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, our fathers of old, all took wives from among their brethren. They were blessed in their children, and their posterity will inherit the land. So now, my son, love your brethren, and in your heart do not disdain your brethren and the sons and daughters of your people by refusing to take a wife for yourself from among them. For in pride there is ruin and great confusion, and in shiftlessness there is loss and great want, because shiftlessness is the mother of famine. Do not hold over till the next day the wages of any man who works for you, but pay him at once. And if you serve Elohim, you will receive payment. Watch yourself, my son, in everything you do, and be disciplined in all your conduct. And what you hate, do not do to anyone. What does the Messiah say? What you would have others do to you, do ye thus unto them, for this is the law and the prophets. This is the Torah and the prophets. I mean, that's basically summarizing what the Torah is all about. Do not drink wine to excess, or let drunkenness go with you on your way. Give of your bread to the hungry, and of your clothing to the naked. Give all your surplus to charity, and do not let your eye begrudge the gift when you make it. Place your bread on the grave of the righteous, but give none to sinners. Seek advice from every wise man, and do not despise any useful counsel. Bless Yahuah Eloheinu on every occasion. Ask him that your ways may be made straight, and that all your paths and plans prosper. This is amazing. This is an amazing verse. Let me read that again. Bless Yahuah Eloheinu on every occasion. Ask him, like literally in your prayers, ask him that your ways be made straight and that all your paths and your plans may prosper. You don't think he's going to answer that prayer if you honestly ask him with an honest heart? I want to walk the straight path. Help me. For none of the nations has understanding, but Yahuah himself gives all good things, and according to his will he humbles who he wishes. So, my son, remember my commands, and do not let them be blotted out of your mind. And now let me explain to you about the 10 talents of silver which I left in trust with Gabael, the son of Gabrias, at Ragus and Media. Do not be afraid, my son, because we have become poor. You have great wealth if you fear Elohim and refrain from every sin and do what is pleasing in his sight. Again, remember, they're in dispersion, and look at the dedication and the diligence that Tobit is instructing his son Tobias to walk in the way. Chapter 5, Then Tobias answered him, Father, I will do everything that you have commanded me, but how can I obtain the money when I do not know the man? Then Tobit gave him the receipt and said to him, "Find a man to go with you, and I will pay him wages as long as I live. And go and get the money." So he went to look for a man, and he found Raphael, who was an angel. But Tobias did not know it. Tobias said to him, "Can you go with me to Rages and Media? Are you acquainted with that region?" The angel replied, "I will go with you. I am familiar with the way, and I have stayed with our brother Gabael." Then Tobias said to him, "Wait for me, and I shall tell my father." And he said to him, "Go, and do not delay." So he went in and said to his father, "I have found someone to go with me." He said, "Call him to me, so that I may learn what tribe he belongs, and whether he is a reliable man to go with you." So Tobias invited him in. He entered, and they greeted each other. Then Tobit said to him, "My brother, to what tribe and family do you belong? Tell me." But he answered, "Are you looking for a tribe and a family, or for a man whom you will pay to go with your son?" And Tobit said to him, "I should like to know, my brother, your people and your name." He replied, "I am Azarias, the son of the great Ananias, one of your relatives." Then Tobit said to him, "You are welcome, my brother. Do not be angry with me because I tried to learn your tribe and family. You are a relative of mine, of a good and noble lineage. For I used to know Ananias and Jathan, the sons of the great Shemaiah. When we went together to Jerusalem to worship and offered the firstborn of our flocks and the tithes of our produce, they did not go astray in the error of our brethren. My brother, you come of good stock. But tell me, what wages am I to pay you? A shekel a day? And expenses for yourself and as for my son? And besides, I will add to your wages if you both return safe and sound." So they agreed to these terms. Then he said to Tobias, "Get ready for the journey, and good success to you both." So his son made the preparations for the journey, and his father said to him, "Go with this man. Elohim who dwells in heaven will prosper your way, and may his angel attend you." So they both went out and departed, and the young man's dog was with them. But Anna, his mother, began to weep, and said to Tobit, "Why have you sent away our child? Is he not the staff of our hand, as he goes in and out before us? Do not add money to money, but consider it rubbish as compared to our child. For the life that is given to us by Yahuah is enough for us." And Tobit said to her, "Do not worry, my sister. He will return safe and sound, and your eyes will see him. For a good angel will go with him." Little did he know, right? "His journey will be successful, and he will come back safe and sound." So she stopped weeping. Chapter 6. Now as they proceeded on their way, they came at evening to the Tigris River and camped there. Then the young man went down to wash himself. A fish leaped up from the river and would have swallowed the young man, and the angel said to him, "Catch the fish." So the young man seized the fish and threw it up upon the land. Then the angel said to him, "Cut open the fish and take the heart and the liver and the gall and put them away safely." So the young man did as the angel told him, and they roasted and ate the fish. And they both continued on their way until they came near Ecbatana. Then the young man said to the angel, "Brother Azarias, of what use is the liver and the heart and the gall of the fish?" He replied, "As for the heart and the liver, if a demon or evil spirit gives trouble to anyone, and you make a smoke from these before the man or woman, and that person will never be troubled again. And as for the gall, anoint with it a man who has white films in his eyes, and he will be cured." So this is another part where people try to debunk this book. They're like, "Oh, see, this is like witchcraft." Well, if you go, we're not going to read it tonight because it's a long passage, but if you go read Jubilees 10, you'll find that Noah knew that all diseases, all demons, everything essentially negative towards man was caused by demons. And a book was given to Noah by the angels, giving him all the remedies of demons based off of everything that was on earth. So this is totally legitimate. When they approached Ecbatana, the angel said to the young man, "Brother, today we shall stay with Raguel. He is your relative, and he has an only daughter named Sarah. I will suggest that she be given to you in marriage, because you are entitled to her and to her inheritance, for you are her only eligible kinsman. The girl also is beautiful and sensible. Now listen to my plan. I will speak to her father, and as soon as we return from Rages, we will celebrate the marriage. For I know that Raguel, according to the law of Moshe, cannot give her to another man without incurring the penalty of death, because you, rather than any other man, are entitled to the inheritance." Then the young man said to the angel, Brother Azarias, I have heard that the girl has been given to 7 husbands, and that each died in the bridal chamber. Now I am the only son of my father. I'm the only son my father has, and I am afraid that if I go in, I will die as those did before me did. For a demon is in love with her, and he harms no one except those who approach her. So now I fear that I may die and bring the lives of my father and my mother to the grave in sorrow on my account, and they have no other son to bury them. But the angel said to him, Do you not remember the words with which your father commanded you to take a wife from among your own people? Now listen to me, brother, for she will become your wife, and do not worry about the demon, for this very night she will be given to you in marriage. When you enter the bridal chamber, you shall take live ashes of incense, and lay upon them some of the heart and liver of the fish, so as to make a smoke. Then the demon will smell it and flee away, and will never again return. And when you approach her, rise up, both of you, and cry out to the merciful Elohim, and he will save you and have mercy on you. Do not be afraid, for she was destined for you from eternity. You will save her, and she will go with you, and I suppose that you will have children by her. When Tobias heard these things, he fell in love with her and yearned deeply for her. Chapter 7. When they reached Ecbatana and arrived at the house of Raguel, Sarah met them and greeted them. They returned her greeting, and she brought them into the house. Then Raguel said to his wife Edna, How much the young man resembles my cousin Tobit. And Raguel asked them, Where are you from, brethren? They answered, We belong to the sons of Naphtali, who are captives in Nineveh. So he said to them, Do you know our brother Tobit? And they said, Yes, we do. And he asked them, Is he in good health? They replied, He is alive and in good health. And Tobias said, He is my father. Then Raguel sprang up and kissed him and wept. And he blessed him and exclaimed, Son of that good and noble man. When we heard that Tobit had lost his sight, he was stricken with grief and wept. And his wife Edna and his daughters and Sarah wept. They received them warmly, very warmly. And they killed a ram from the flock and set large servings of food before them. Then Tobias said to Raphael, Brother Azarias, speak of those things which you talked about on the journey, and let the matter be settled. So he communicated the proposal to Raguel, and Raguel said to Tobias, Eat, drink, and be merry, for it is your right to take my child. But let me explain the true situation to you. I have given my daughter to 7 husbands, and when each came to her, he died in the night. But for the present, be merry. And Tobias said, I will eat nothing here until you make a binding agreement with me. So Raguel said, Take her now, in accordance with the Torah. You are her relative, and she is yours. The merciful Elohim will guide you both for the best. Then he called his daughter Sarah, and taking her by the hand, he gave her to Tobias to be his wife, saying, Here she is. Take her according to the Torah of Moshe, and take her to be with you to your father. And he blessed them. Next he called his wife Edna, and took a scroll, and wrote out the contract, and they set their seals to it. Then they began to eat. And Raguel called his wife Edna and said to her, Sister, make up the other room, and take her into it. So she did as he said, and took her there, and the girl began to weep. But the mother comforted her daughter in her tears, and said to her, Be brave, my child. Yahuah of heaven and earth grant you joy in place of this sorrow of yours. Be brave, my daughter. Chapter 8. When they had finished eating, they escorted Tobias in to her. As he went, he remembered the words of Raphael, and he took the live ashes of the incense and put the heart and liver of the fish upon them and made a smoke. And when the demon smelled the odor, he fled to the remotest parts of Egypt, and the angel bound him. When the door was shut and the two were alone, Tobias got up from the bed and said, Sister, get up, and let us pray that Yahuah may have mercy upon us. And Tobias began to pray. Blessed are you, O Elohim of our fathers, and blessed be thy holy and glorious name forever. Let the heavens and all thy creatures bless you. Thou madest Adam, and gavest him Eve his wife, as a helper and support. From them the race of mankind has sprung. Thou didst say, It is not good that the man should be alone. Let us make a helper for him like himself. And now, O Yahuah, I am not taking this sister of mine because of lust, but with sincerity. Grant that I might find mercy and may grow old together with her. And she said with him, Amen. They both went to sleep for the night. But Raguel arose and went and dug a grave, with the thought, Perhaps he too will die. Then Raguel went into his house and said to his wife Edna, "Send one of the maids to see whether he is alive, and if he is not, let us bury him without anyone knowing about it." So the maid opened the door and went in and found them both asleep. And she came out and told them that he was alive. Then Raguel blessed Elohim and said, "Blessed art you, O Elohim, with every pure and holy blessing. Let thy saints and all thy creatures bless you. Let all the angels and thy chosen people bless you forever. Blessed are you, because you hast made me glad. It has not happened to me as I expected, but thou hast treated us according to thy great mercy. Blessed are you, because you have had compassion on two only children. Show them mercy, O Yahuah, and bring their lives to fulfillment in health and happiness and mercy." Then he ordered his servants to fill in the grave. After this, he gave a wedding feast for them, which lasted 14 days. And before the days of the feast were over, Raguel declared by an oath to Tobias that he should not leave until the 14 days of the wedding feast were ended. That then he should take half of Raguel's property and return in safety to his father, and that the rest would be his when my wife and I die. Chapter 9. Then Tobias called Raphael and said to him, "Brother Azarias, take a servant and 2 camels and go and 2 camels with you and go to Gabael at Ragus in Media and get the money for me and bring him to the wedding feast. For Raguel has sworn that I should not leave, but my father is counting the days, and if I delay long, he will be greatly distressed." So Raphael made the journey and stayed overnight with Gabael. He gave him the receipt, and Gabael brought out the money bags with their seals intact and gave them to him. In the morning they both got up early and came to the wedding feast, and Gabael blessed Tobias and his wife. Chapter 10. Now his father Tobit was counting each day, and when the days for the journey had expired and they did not arrive, he said, "It is possible that he has been detained? Or is it possible that Gabael has died and there is no one to give him the money?" And he was greatly distressed. And his wife said to him, "The lad has perished. His long delay proves it." Then she began to mourn for him and said, Am I not distressed, my child, that I let you go, you who are all the light of my eyes?" But Tobit said to her, "Be still and stop worrying. He is well." And she answered him, "Be still and stop deceiving me. My child has perished." And she went out every day to the road by which they had left, and she ate nothing in the daytime. And throughout the nights she never stopped mourning for her son Tobias, until the 14 days of the wedding feast had expired, which Raguel had sworn that he should spend there. At that time, Tobias said to Raguel, "Send me back, for my father and my mother have given up hope of ever seeing me again." But his father-in-law said to him, "Stay with me, and I will send messengers to your father, and they will inform him how things are with you." Tobias replied, "No, send me back to my father." So Raguel arose and gave him his wife Sarah and half of his property in slaves, cattle, and money. And when he had blessed them, he sent them away, saying, "The Elohim of heaven will prosper you, my children, before I die." He said also to his daughter, "Honor your father-in-law and your mother-in-law. They are now your parents. Let me hear a good report of you." And he kissed her. And Edna said to Tobias, "Yahuah of heaven bring you back safely, dear brother, and grant me to see your children by my daughter Sarah, that I may rejoice before Yahuah. See, I am entrusting my daughter to you. Do nothing to grieve her." Book of Tobit, chapter 11. After this, Tobias went on his way, praising Elohim because he had made his journey a success. And he blessed Raguel and his wife Edna. So he continued on his way until they came near to Nineveh. Then Raphael said to Tobias, "Are you not aware, brother, how you left your father? Let us run ahead of your wife and prepare the house, and take the gall of the fish with you." So they went their way, and the dog went along behind them. Now Anna sat looking intently down the road for her son, and she caught sight of him coming and said to his father, "Behold, your son is coming, and so is the man who went with him." Raphael said, "I know, Tobias, that your father will open his eyes. You, therefore, must anoint his eyes with the gall, and when they smart, he will rub them, and will cause the white films to fall away, and he will see you." Then Anna ran to meet them and embraced her son and said to him, "I have seen you, my child. Now I am ready to die." And they both wept. Tobit started toward the door and stumbled, But his son ran to him and took hold of his father, and he sprinkled the gall upon his father's eyes, saying, "Be of good cheer, father." And when his eyes began to smart, he rubbed them, and the white films scaled off from the corners of his eyes. Then he saw his son and embraced him, and he wept and said, "Blessed are you, O Elohim, and blessed is thy name forever. And blessed are all thy holy angels, for thou hast afflicted me, but thou hast had mercy upon me. Here I see my son Tobias." And his son went in rejoicing, and he reported to his father the great things that had happened to him in Media. Then Tobit went out to meet his daughter-in-law at the gate of Nineveh, rejoicing and praising Elohim. Those who saw him as he went were amazed because he could see. And Tobit gave thanks before them that Elohim had been merciful to him. When Tobit came near to Sarah his daughter-in-law, he blessed her, saying, "Welcome, daughter. Blessed is Elohim who has brought you to us, and blessed are your father and your mother." So there was rejoicing among all his brethren in Nineveh, and Ahikar his nephew Nadab came. Ahikar and his nephew Nadab came, and Tobias' marriage was celebrated for 7 days with great festivity. Chapter 12. Tobit then called his son Tobias and said to him, "My son, see the wages of the man who went with you, and he must also be given more." He replied, "Father, it would do me no harm to give him half of what I have brought back. For he has led me back to you safely. He cured my wife. He obtained the money for me. And he has also healed you." The old man said, "He deserves it." So he called the angel and said to him, "Take half of all that you two have brought back." Then the angel called the two of them privately and said to them, "Praise Elohim and give thanks to him. Exalt him and give thanks to him in the presence of all the living for what he has done for you." I mean, we could all take heed of this. "It is good to praise Elohim and to exalt his name, worthily declaring the works of Elohim. Do not be slow to give him thanks. It is good to guard the secret of a king, but gloriously to reveal the works of Elohim. Do good, and evil will not overtake you. Prayer is good when accompanied by fasting, almsgiving, and righteousness. A little with righteousness is better than much with wrongdoing. It is better to give alms than treasure up gold. For almsgiving delivers from death, and it will purge away every sin. Those who perform deeds of charity and of righteousness will have fullness of life. But those who commit sin are the enemies of their own lives. I will not conceal anything from you, I have said. It is good to guard the secret of a king, but gloriously to reveal the works of Elohim. And so, when you and your daughter-in-law Sarah prayed, I brought a reminder of your prayer before the Holy One. And when you buried the dead, I was likewise present with you. When you did not hesitate to rise and leave your dinner in order to go and lay out the dead, your good deed was not hidden from me, but I was with you. So now Elohim has sent me to heal you and your daughter-in-law Sarah. I am Raphael, one of the 7 holy angels who present the prayers of the saints and enter into the presence of the glory of the Holy One." They both were alarmed and fell upon their faces, for they were afraid. But he said to them, "Do not be afraid, you will be safe. But praise Elohim forever, for I did not come as a favor on my part, but by the will of our Elohim. Therefore, praise him forever. All these days I merely appeared to you and did not eat or drink, but you were seeing a vision. And now give thanks to Elohim, for I am ascending to him who sent me. Write in a book everything that has happened." Then they stood up, but they saw no more. They saw him no more. So they confessed the great and wonderful works of Elohim and acknowledged that the angel of Yahuah had appeared to them. Wow, it's awesome. Chapter 13. This is an amazing little passage here too. Then Tobit wrote a prayer of rejoicing and said, "Blessed is Elohim who lives forever, and blessed is his kingdom, for he afflicts and he shows mercy. He leads down to Hades and brings up again, and there is no one who can escape his hand. Acknowledge him before the nations, O sons of Israel, for he has scattered us among them. Make his greatness known there." I mean, this is literally, he's like reading it to us because remember, we're in dispersion too, just like he is writing this letter. or this prayer. So let me read this again. Acknowledge him before the nations, O sons of Israel, for he has scattered us among them. Make his greatness known there, and exalt him in the presence of all the living. Because he is our Yahuah and Elohim. He is our Father forever. He will afflict us for our iniquities, and again he will show mercy, and will gather us from all the nations among whom you have been scattered. If you turn to him with all your heart and with all your soul, to do what is true before him. Then he will turn to you and will not hide his face from you, but see what he will do with you. Give thanks to him with your full voice. Praise Yahuah of righteousness, and exalt the King of the ages. And I give him thanks in the land of my captivity. This letter's for us. And I show his power and majesty to a nation of sinners. Turn back, you sinners, and do right before him. Who knows if he will accept you and have mercy on you? I exalt my Elohim. My soul exalts the King of heaven, and will rejoice in his majesty. Let all men speak and give him thanks in Yerushalayim. O Yerushalayim, the holy city, he will afflict you for the deeds of your sons, but he will again show mercy to the sons of the righteous. Give thanks worthily to Yahuah, and praise the King of ages, that his tent may be raised for you again with joy. We're going to come back to this in a second. Remember this tent, because this is all about, remember, this is Sukkot, right? Sukkot. May he cheer those within you who are captives, and love those within you who are distressed to all generations forever. Many nations will come from afar to the name of Yahuah Eloheinu, bearing gifts in their hands. This is the millennial reign. Gifts for the King of heaven. Generations of generations will give you joyful praise. Cursed are all who hate you. Blessed forever will be all who love you. Rejoice and be glad for the sons of the righteous, for they will be gathered together, and he will praise Yahuah of the righteous. How blessed are those who love you. They will rejoice in your peace and your shalom. Blessed are those who grieved over all your afflictions, for they will rejoice for you upon seeing all your glory, and they will be made glad forever. Let my soul praise Elohim, the great King, for Yerushalayim will be built with sapphires and emeralds, her walls with precious stones. We're going to go over that in a second too. And her towers and her battlements with pure gold. The streets of Yerushalayim will be paved with beryl and ruby and stones of Ophir. All her lanes will cry, Hallelujah! And will give praise, saying, Blessed is Elohim, who has exalted you forever. Now let's go back here. Let's talk about a few things. This is absolutely amazing. Right here it says, so Yerushalayim will be built again, and that his tent may be raised for you with joy. So again, this is one of the reasons why I was like, you know what, let's read Tobit, because I read it a couple times a few years ago, then I totally forgot about it, and I didn't read it again until it was a Shabbat, I think, a few weeks ago, and I read it, and I was like, wow. It is an amazing book. So this is all a prophecy about New Jerusalem. So again, when we're living in these tents for a week, we think of it in two ways: backwards and forwards. Backwards, we think about the Israelites that came out of the wilderness, that dwelt around Yahuah in tents, right? They dwelled in tents, and so that's part of the thing of the festivals to remember that. But also, going forward in time, talking about his tent with his tabernacle. It's called his tabernacle, his pavilion, his wide place, his there's many different names for it, but his sukkah, essentially, his large sukkah, his permanent sukkah, if you will, instead of a temporary. So in the past it was a temporary, in the future it's a permanent one. Let's take a look at some of these verses. Those of you that were with us for our Sukkot study, you've seen some of these verses already, but just a few of them. Isaiah 4:2-6. In that day shall the branch of Yahuah, right? Because remember, Yahusha said, I am the vine, you are the branches. You can only bear fruit through me if you abide in me. In that day shall the branch, the Nazarene, of Yahuah be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion and he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem. The Book of Life. When Yahuah shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning, and Yahuah will create upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion, and upon her assemblies, a cloud and a smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming of fire by night, for upon all the glory shall be defense. And there shall be a tabernacle, right, Feast of Tabernacles, for a shadow in the day for a shadow in the daytime from the heat, and for a place of refuge and a covert from the storm and the rain. So he's going to cover us with his tabernacle, his sukkah, his tent. Psalm 27, 3-6. Though an host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should arise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing I have desired of Yahuah, that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of Yahuah all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of Yahuah, to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. The Hebrew word here is sukkah. He shall hide me in his pavilion, and the secret of his tabernacle he shall hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. And now mine head shall be lifted up above mine enemies round about me. Therefore I will offer in his tabernacle, his sukkah, sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto Yahuah. So again, we're looking forwards and backwards with the Feast of Tabernacles. And I can tell you, I got my mind focused on the future. Although it's been pretty fun sleeping in the tent this week. I'm not going to lie. My boys and I really had a lot of fun. Psalm 31, 16-21. Make thy face to shine upon thy servant. Save me for thy mercy's sake. Let me not be ashamed, O Yahuah, for I have called upon you. Let the wicked be ashamed, and let them be silent in the grave. Let the lying lips be put to silence, which speak grievously things proudly and contemptuously against the righteous. Ho, how great is thy goodness, which thou hast laid up for them that fear you, which thou hast wrought for them that thrust in thee before the sons of men. Thou shalt hide them in the secret of thy presence from the pride of men. Thou shalt keep them secretly in a pavilion from the strife of tongues, right? A sukkah. This is the Hebrew word sukkah, and this is the Feast of Sukkot. From the strife of tongues, blessed is Yahuah, for he hath showed me his marvelous kindness and a strong city. This is New Jerusalem, right? Right? And so the other thing I want to talk about was for Jerusalem, this is New Jerusalem, will be built with sapphires and emeralds, her walls with precious stones. Check this out. So what's that wall going to consist of? 1 Peter 2:5, ye also as living stones are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Elohim by Yahusha HaMashiach. More specifically, Isaiah 49:14-18, but Zion said, Yahuah hath forsaken me, and my Adonai hath forgotten me. This is New Jerusalem speaking to the Most High. Can a woman, and then now the Most High is responding, can a woman forget her suckling child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet I will not forget you. Behold, I have graven you upon the palms of my hands. Thy walls, right? We're talking about the walls here, right? Because this is what we're talking about. Her walls with precious stones. Thy walls are continually before me. Thy children shall make haste, thy destroyers and they that made thee waste shall go forth from you. Lift up thine eyes round about, and behold, all these, her children, gather themselves together and come to you. As I live, saith Yahuah, thou shalt surely clothe thee with them. So they're literally going to be a part of the structure, as with an ornament, and bind them on you as a bride does. So again, her walls with precious stones, right? You shall clothe thee with them as an ornament, right? As a stone, as a precious stone, and bind them on you as a bride does. What does a bride do? She puts precious jewels and stones on her, and she's adorned and decked with goodly things. Revelation 3:10-12, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep you from the hour of temptation or tribulation, which shall come upon the whole world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly. Hold thou fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. Him that overcometh, I will make a pillar in the temple of my Elohim, and he shall go no more out. It's literally part of the building blocks of the structure. And I will write upon him the name of my Elohim, and the name of the city of my Elohim, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my Elohim, and I will write upon him my new name. And actually, yeah, here we go. One more. Give me a second. Isaiah 61. The Spirit of Yahuah Eloheinu is upon me, because Yahuah hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahuah, and the day of vengeance of our Elohim, to comfort all that mourn, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of Yahuah, that he might be glorified. And they shall build the old waste. They shall raise up the former desolations. They shall repair the waste cities, the desolations of many generations. And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the sons of the aliens shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers. Right? The nations will come and serve New Jerusalem. But ye shall be named the priests of Yahuah. Men shall call you the ministers of our Elohim. Ye shall eat the riches of the Gentiles, and in their glory shall ye boast yourselves. For your shame ye shall have double, and for confusion they shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore in their land they shall possess the double. Everlasting joy shall be unto them. For I, Yahuah, love judgment. I hate robbery for burnt offering, and I will direct their work in truth, in Torah. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them. And their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which Yahuah has blessed. I will greatly rejoice in Yahuah, my soul shall be joyful in my Elohim, for he hath clothed me with the garments of salvation, he hath covered me with a robe of righteousness, as a bridegroom decketh himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorneth herself with her jewels. So again, remember, this is what we're talking about. For Jerusalem will be built with sapphires and emeralds, and her walls with precious stones. For as the earth bringeth forth her bud, and as the garden causeth the things that are sown in it to spring forth, so Yahuah Eloheinu will cause righteousness and praise to spring forth before all the nations. So that was an amazing prophecy of New Jerusalem. Just absolutely amazing. So last chapter 14. Here Tobit ended his words of praise. He was 58 years old when he lost his sight, and after 8 years he regained it. He gave alms, and he continued to fear Yahuah Elohim and to praise him. When he had grown very old, he called his sons and grandsons and said to him, My son, take your sons. Behold, I have grown old and am about to depart from this life. Go to Media, my son, for I fully believe that what Jonah the prophet said about Nineveh, that it will be overthrown. But in Media there will be peace for a time. Our brethren will be scattered over the earth from the good land, and Jerusalem will be desolate. The house of Elohim in it will be burned down and will be for ruins for a time. But Elohim will again have mercy on them and bring them back to their land, and they will rebuild the house of Elohim, though it will not be like the former one, until the times of the age are completed. After this, so he's prophesying that the southern kingdom would go into dispersion, Jerusalem would be destroyed, they'd come back and rebuild, but it wouldn't be like the former, and they'd be going into captivity one more time, right? After this, so after the other dispersions, which we're still in right now, they will return from the places of their captivity and will rebuild Jerusalem in splendor, and the house of Elohim will be rebuilt there with a glorious building for all generations forever. So again, still prophesying about New Jerusalem, just as the prophet said of it. Then all the Gentiles will turn to fear Yahuah Elohim in truth, in Torah, and will bury their idols. All the Gentiles will praise Yahuah, and his people will give thanks to Elohim, and Yahuah will exalt his people. All who love Yahuah Elohim in truth and righteousness. He's talking in code because he knows Psalm 119, 142 very well. They're going to love Yahuah in the Torah. We'll rejoice, showing mercy to our brethren. So now, my son, leave Nineveh, because what the prophet Jonah said will surely happen. But keep the Torah and the commandments, and be merciful and just, so that it may be well with you. Bury me properly, and your mother with me, and do not live in Nineveh any longer. See, my son, what Nadab did to Ahikar, who had reared him. Now he brought him from light into darkness, and with what he repaid him. But Ahikar was saved, and the other received repayment as he himself went down into darkness. Ahikar gave alms and escaped the death trap which Nadab had set for him, but Nadab fell into the trap and perished. So now, my children, consider what almsgiving accomplishes and how righteousness delivers. As he said this, he died in his bed. He was 158 years old, and Tobias gave him a magnificent funeral. And when Anna died, he buried her with his father. Then Tobias returned with his wife and his sons to Ecbatana to Raguel, his father-in-law. He grew old with honor, and he gave his father-in-law and mother-in-law magnificent funerals. He inherited their property and that of his father Tobit. He died in Ecbatana of Media at the age of 127 years. But before he died, he heard of the destruction of Nineveh, which Nebuchadnezzar and Ahasuerus had captured. But before his death, he rejoiced over Nineveh. And that, brothers and sisters, is the Book of Tobit. I found it absolutely amazing. I hope you were blessed by it. And again, I think this is something that I'm going to have to maybe go through another time with maybe a little more fine-tooth comb. And yeah, it was just absolutely a blessing. So, in any case, again, happy Sukkot to you. This has been an amazing week. Hopefully, it's been a great week for you as well. Again, I know a lot of us are on different calendars, but for me, this evening started the 8th day, and we're doing a little local get together. So if you haven't heard yet, if you're local to Southwest Missouri, we're having a little get together in Finley River Park in Ozark. If you want some more information, I'll try to check my email box one more time in the morning or tonight maybe, and give you some directions to get there, all that kind of stuff. You can email me at hello@parableofvineyard.com. So in any case, what else? What else did I want to say? I guess I'll just say shalom to a couple people in the chat. Sister Windfeather, Jay Buck, David Clark, Stephen Schofield, Troy Puffett, Kingdom Truther, welcome, bro. David Shearer, thank you. All moderators, always thank you for help leading the chat. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone that has joined us together. Sister Nicole Powell, yeah, awesome. Shannon D, good to see you. Anyways, just an amazing read. Hopefully it blessed you. If you have your CEPHER, read it in the CEPHER version, because the CEPHER version, I believe, goes off of there's two main Greek manuscripts. We read the other Greek manuscript. The CEPHER goes off a different one, so you might actually glean a little more if you read it from the CEPHER version, and maybe next time when we go through it a little slower, maybe we'll glean a little more, and we'll do the CEPHER version together. So, with that, brothers and sisters, like I said, I was going to make this short tonight because I'm going to go party with the fam, and we're going to finish up our Sukkot, and yeah, hope your Shabbat is amazing, and hope you enjoy your 8th day of Sukkot, and may Yahuah be blessed forever and ever. Let's pray. Let's do the Ronic Blessing, and we'll finish up tonight. So let's bow our hearts. Heavenly Father, Yahuah Most High, we just come before you in Yahusha's name, and we just bless you for all that you've done for us, all that you do for us, everything that you've made in the world, the sun, the moon, the stars, the firmament, the trees, the birds, every living creature, us, just everything you've made is absolutely amazing, and sometimes we take it for granted. We apologize, but we do want to thank you for all that you made, and we rejoice in your feast days that you've given us, your Shabbats, your whole Torah, which is absolutely amazing, and we just thank you for peeling back the veil of our eyes, the blindness from our eyes, to where we didn't see your Torah before, but now we see it, and we thank you so much for Messiah Yahusha, who allowed us to be reconciled back to you through his offering, and we just thank you so much. We love you, we bless you. Please continue to help us and strengthen us so that we don't deviate to the left or to the right of your commands, and that we may walk this narrow path. And just thank you. Thank you, because you are the revealer of wisdom and understanding, and you have given us of your spirit to even give us a desire for these things. So we're just so thankful. We can never repay you, but because of that, we know that you are to be called merciful. Yahuah, we love you. We bless you in Yahusha's name. Amen, amen, and hallelujah. And let's bless each other, and I'll make a feeble attempt at singing for you. So, Yevarechecha Yahuah ve'yishmerecha. Ya'er Yahuah panav elecha v'chuneka. Yesa Yahuah panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom. Yes, so Yahuah bless you and keep you. Yahuah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuah lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. Much love, brothers and sisters. Enjoy the rest of your Sukkot, and we'll see you again next week. And love you, family. Shalom.